There is a machine sold in the shops now for frying chicken. A deep fryer they call it, a white box with a lid and a basket and a cord, and it costs a good deal of money, and it takes the room on the counter where a person ought to set down a cutting board. Folks buy them, use them twice, and the box goes into the cupboard to live out its days with the waffle iron. And I want to tell you tonight that you do not need it. You never did. I have fried chicken for 60 years and never owned one, because a deep fryer is only a pot with a cord on it, and I already have a pot. Tonight I am going to show you Karaage. Chicken cut in pieces, soaked in soy and ginger and garlic, rolled in a little starch, and fried golden and crackling in a pan with barely an inch of oil. Crisp enough that you hear it across the room, and inside so juicy it runs down your wrist. It is the thing every child in this country begs for, the treasure in the corner of every lunchbox. It is what a mother makes when she wants to be loved for one evening, and I am not ashamed to say it, because it works. And it costs almost nothing. 1 pack of the cheap chicken, soy and ginger and garlic, which you have, a spoonful of starch. That is the whole of it. Now here is the truth I want to give you before we cook one thing. For once you see it plain, the fear goes and never comes back. Frying is only hot oil touching food. The oil gets hot, the water at the surface turns to steam and rushes out, and the outside dries and browns and goes crisp, while the inside stays soft. That is the whole of it. No machine does it better than a pot. The machine only holds the oil steady, so you need not pay attention. I will teach you to pay attention, and then you need no machine and no thermometer. 1 pack of thighs, a cup of oil used again and again, and a family eats like it is a holiday. That is the old arithmetic, and it was never a machine's arithmetic. It was a mother's. There is nothing hard in it. It asks a little knowing in 20 minutes, and I will give you both. Let me show you step by step. I made this for my children in a black iron pan, early, before the light, because it went into the lunch boxes. You fried Karaage at 6 in the morning so that at noon in a schoolroom across the town, a child would open a box and find it there, cold, beside the rice and be happy. And here is a lovely thing about this dish. It is the only fried food I know that is just as good cold as hot, only good in a different way, and that is exactly why it lived in the lunch boxes for 100 years. My son would not tell me anything. Not one word about his day, not what he learned, not who he sat with. Boys are like that. But he would set the empty box on the counter and say only, there was not enough. And that was how he told me he loved me, and I understood it perfectly. And I made more the next time, and there was never enough then either. Sometimes the food says the thing nobody in the house can say out loud, and a woman who knows how to make one dish her family cannot stop eating has a way of speaking to them that never fails her, even in the years when they go quiet. Before I go further, I want to say one quick thing. The old ways my family kept, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I have gathered the whole of it into a book, and you will find it at the link below. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. Now, the chicken. And here is the first rule, and it is not a small one. Thigh, boneless, skin left on. Not breast, please, not breast. And here is why. Breast meat is lean, and lean meat has nothing to protect it, and the moment it goes past done it is dry and stringy and tastes of paper. Thigh meat is dark and has fat all through it, and that fat melts as it fries and keeps the meat wet from within. Thigh forgives you. Overcook a thigh by a minute, and it is still juicy. Overcook a breast by a minute, and you have ruined your supper. So thigh, always. And here is the happy part. Thigh is the cheaper cut, because folks were taught to want breast, and so they pay more for the drier meat. The good cut is the cheap cut here, and that happens more often in a kitchen than anybody admits. And leave the skin on, for it fries into the crispest part of the whole piece. Take it off, and you have thrown away the best of it. Now cut it into pieces bigger than you think. A good large bite, the size of a walnut in its shell, 3 or 4 to a thigh. Why big? Because a small piece is nearly all outside, and by the time that outside is golden, the inside has cooked to nothing. Small pieces come out dry and hard. Big pieces come out crisp outside and dripping within. The size of the cut does more work than you know. Cut them roughly even so they finish together, and do not fuss over making them pretty. Every ragged corner goes extra crisp, and those are the ones the children steal off the plate before you have sat down. Now the marinade, the soul of it. There is nowhere in this dish for a weak marinade to hide, for the chicken is the whole meal and no sauce is coming to save it. Into the bowl with your chicken goes soy sauce, a good pour, a splash of sake if you have it, which softens the meat and takes any smell off it. A big spoonful of ginger grated fine, skin and all, and fresh, not the powder, for the fresh has a brightness the powder does not carry. Garlic grated the same way, a clove or 2 or 3 if you are among friends. A little sugar, only a little, for it helps the browning as much as the flavor. A grind of pepper, a spoonful of sesame oil at the end if you like, for the smell. Look at that list, 5 things you already own. And now the part folks skip and should not. Put your hands in and massage it a good minute, squeezing so the marinade goes into the meat and not merely onto it. You will feel it soften under your fingers. That is the salt and the sake beginning their work. Then let it sit. 30 minutes on the counter is plenty for a busy evening. A few hours in the cold box is better, overnight better still, and you can mix it up the night before and it will be waiting. But do not let the perfect keep you from the good. I have made it in 15 minutes. Nobody complained. Now the coating, and here is the fork in the road. Folks are fierce about it, and I will not settle it for you. Potato starch is the one way, karaage. It fries into a coating light and glassy and shattering, the kind that makes a sound when you bite it. That is the karaage most folks picture, and it is the one I make. Plain wheat flour is the other way, and it is the older way in a great many houses. It gives a coating softer and browner, more of a crust, clinging closer to the meat and drinking more of the marinade. Less crackly, more savory. And a great many use both, half and half, which is not a compromise, but a third tradition of its own. All of them make real karaage. Both are honest, neither is wrong. Now, how you coat it. Lift each piece out of the marinade, let the drip fall off, roll it in the starch, and here's the important part. Press it on with your fingers so it grips the wet meat, then shake off the loose. You want a thin, even, dusty coat, not a thick blanket. A thick blanket goes doughy and falls off in sheets and leaves you bald chicken and a pot of ruined crumbs. A thin pressed coat goes crisp and stays on. And let the coated pieces sit 2 or 3 minutes before they go in. The starch drinks the surface moisture and turns slightly pasty and grips like glue. That little pause is worth more than any trick I know. Now the oil, and here is where the machine is supposed to be necessary, and it is not. You take a small, deep, heavy pot. Small, mind you, for a wide pan needs a great deal of oil to come up any depth at all. An inch of oil in it, maybe an inch and a half. You are not swimming the chicken. You fry the bottom half, then turn it and fry the top, and it comes out exactly the same, and you have used 1 cup of oil instead of 2 liters. That is the whole reason folks think they need the machine. They think frying means a bath. It does not. It never did. Our grandmothers fried shallow because oil was precious, and it worked perfectly, and it still does. Now, how hot, with no thermometer. The old way, which has never once failed me. Dip the tip of a wooden chopstick into the oil and watch. Nothing happens, it is cold. Wait. A few lazy bubbles rising slow around the chopstick, that is your medium heat, and that is where we start. Bubbles coming up fast and busy all around it, that is hot, and that is where we finish. Smoking and angry, it is too hot. Off the fire a minute and let it settle. That is the whole science of it. It lives in a chopstick, and it costs nothing. Now here is the thing that makes this the recipe that never fails, and it is the only real technique in the whole video, and it is old and simple. You fry it twice. The first fry, in the medium oil, is not for color. It is only to cook the chicken through. Lay the pieces in gently, away from you, 4 or 5 at a time, no more. Why not crowd? Every cold piece pulls the heat out of the oil, and oil gone cool does not fry, it soaks. Crowd the pot and the chicken comes out pale and greasy. Give them room and each one fries. Cook in batches. It is the only way that works. Fry them a few minutes, turning once until cooked through and gone a pale gold, barely colored. Then lift them onto a rack and leave them 5 minutes. Do not skip this. While they rest, the heat inside carries on cooking gently to the center, and the surface dries out, and both are working for you. Then the second fry, short and hot. Bring the oil up to that busy bubble heat, drop them back in, and they stay a minute, maybe a minute and a half. In that minute, the outside blasts to a deep golden brown and goes hard and crackling, and the steam drives the last of the oil back out. And here is why it never fails. In one long fry, you must choose. Fry it long enough to go brown and crisp, and the inside dries out. Pull it while the inside is juicy and the outside is pale. You cannot have both in one fry. But split it in two, gentle first for the inside and fierce second for the outside, and you get both, every time. Cooked through and dripping within, crackling and dark without. That is the whole trick. And now it is yours. Out onto the rack, not onto paper, for chicken sat on paper steams its own bottom soft, while chicken on a rack stays crisp all round. And now, the other fork, and this is the one that starts arguments at real tables. The lemon. Some squeeze a wedge of lemon over the whole plate the instant it lands, and swear it is not Karaage without it, that the brightness cuts the fat and lifts it. And some want their piece dry and crackling and untouched, and nothing will spoil their supper faster than someone reaching across the table and squeezing a lemon over the lot without asking. I will not tell you which is right. I will only tell you what the old manners say, which is that you ask first. That is all. You ask. Now, a word on keeping it, for here Karaage is a wonder among fried things. It is good cold, truly good, not merely tolerable. So make more than you need, on purpose. Cook once, eat twice. It keeps 2 or 3 days in the cold box, and if you want it hot again, no microwave, for that turns the crisp to a wet rag. A hot dry pan or a hot oven crisps it right back. It freezes too, and a bag of it is a supper on a night when there is nothing left in you. And now the part the old kitchens never forgot. The oil. Do not throw that oil away. It is not waste. It is a thing you own now. Let it cool, pour it through a sieve or a bit of cloth to catch the crumbs, and keep it in a jar with a lid somewhere dark and cool, and use it again and again. 6 times, 8 times, so long as it is strained and still smells clean. It grows a little darker and more flavorful each time, and the frying gets better, not worse. Fry your vegetables in it. Fry your fish last, always last. When it goes dark and thick and smells old, let it go. That is how a cup of oil fries chicken for a month. The shallow pan was never a compromise. It was the point. Now, I want to be plain about who profits from you believing that fried chicken is a hard thing, a machine thing, a bought thing. There is a bag of frozen Karaage in every supermarket freezer, cut small and coated thick and full of things you cannot name. There is a hot case at every convenience store with Karaage going soft under a lamp. There is a seasoning packet sold so you may make at home a lesser copy of what your grandmother made from soy and ginger and garlic, and there is that white machine in the window. Every one of them rests on the same notion, that frying is difficult and dangerous and best left to somebody with equipment. But you have just watched it done. A small pot, an inch of oil, a chopstick to read the heat, twice in and out. Nobody schemed to make a whole people afraid of a pot of hot oil. It is worse than that. It is just a system nobody has to coordinate. A slow drift where the bag got cheap and the machine got sold, and the reading of the oil by eye and by ear went unpracticed and unpassed down until a thing every mother did at 6 in the morning before the children woke came to seem like a job for a professional. It was never a job. It was Tuesday morning in the dark before school. The women who fed this country did it in a small pot with an inch of oil and a wooden chopstick, and their children opened their boxes at noon and were the envy of the room, and we are only beginning to remember how. Now tell me something down in the comments. Lemon on the Karaage or no lemon? And do you ask the table first or squeeze it over the whole plate and let them deal with it? Folks have very strong feelings on this, and I would dearly love to know where you stand. And tell me this too. What was the thing your mother made that you begged for, the one there was never enough of? Tell me. Next time I am going to show you where all of this begins. The dashi, water, a piece of kelp from the sea, a handful of shavings, steeped a few minutes into a golden broth that lays a quiet depth under everything a kitchen makes. And then what the old kitchens did with what was left in the strainer, the spent kelp and shavings everybody throws away, and how those become a thing you eat on rice for a week. In a careful kitchen, the strainer is not the end of the dashi. It is the beginning of the next thing. Next time, the dashi and what is left behind. Until then, take good care of the ones at your table, and keep a kitchen that knows a small pot and an inch of oil in a patient hand will beat any machine ever sold.